Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another tutorial, and today I want to show you how to get the best out of your audio in DaVinci Resolve. I'm mainly talking about spoken word here, so if you're recording, just social media content where you're talking to camera, or a podcast or something like that. I think something like sound effects or music would need a bit more expertise. And I just want to clarify here, I'm definitely wouldn't say I'm like a sound guy. I'm not like deep into like sound, but I used to make music kind of full time. And I think a lot of my understanding of that I've kind of carried over into this. And I'm going to say also that I do keep it really simple, just a tiny bit of compression, a tiny bit of EQ, a tiny bit of background noise removal. And I think that's kind of all you need a lot of the time. The tools in DaVinci are really good for this. So let's just jump straight in. So I've got a little piece of audio here that I've already cut up. I've dragged it onto my timeline, and the first thing we're going to do is jump straight into Fairlight. And this is where I'm going to do all of the work pretty much in Fairlight. The only thing I'd do in my timeline is if there was one clip that needed background noise removal and I wasn't going to put it on everything, then I would select that clip and add the voice isolation tool inside the edit page. Just be wary about not using it too much. I would not use the voice isolation tool beyond 20%. And that's if there was a lot of noise behind, I'd use it up to 20%. Really, I'd keep it around 10 or 15, but I'm going to put it across the whole track here. So I'm going to show you how to do that in Fairlight. So let's jump into Fairlight. And let's start with the voice isolation tool, as it is the first thing. So I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to open up my settings. And as I mentioned, I'm probably going to only drag that till about 10 or 15.
Biotics like inulin and slippery elm.
This was recorded really well, so I know there's not going to be much background noise. The only thing I would say, it was quite a bright room, so there was a lot of reverb. The voice isolation tool also gets rid of quite a bit of reverb. So let's play that now and have a listen.
Plus, it contains probiotics like Bacillus coagulans and Bacillus porcii that actually survive the long journey to your gut. Think of it.
Yeah, so I think here I literally just need about 15%. I'm happy with that. So then I would go down to the dynamics, and here we have the expander, compression, and limiter. But the only one I'm going to use from these is actually the compressor in the middle. So if we turn that on, and you can see there straight away, this middle bar here under gain reduction with the C is what represents the compression that's happening from the compressor. So if we press play,
repair leaky gut.
You can see the compression there actually working and taking down the volume. And what I would say is we don't want this to work too hard. What basically judges how hard is compressing is here on the threshold. So if we turn that all the way up and make it stronger, you can see that the compression is then kicking in extremely hard and ducking the volume a lot. But we don't want it to work that hard, because then basically if you ever working too hard, you can hear it working, and you can hear it, when it's kicking in. So basically, let's keep this at around 15 or so. But once again, you kind of want to use your ear here and see what works best, okay? So
one of the most researched gut repairing ingredients, which helps rebuild your gut lining from the inside. It's not instant, but with consistency, it does the deep.
So there, I feel about 17 works quite good here. You can see that when it's a bit too loud, it's just ducking the compression a little bit. And with the ratio, you also want to keep this quite soft as well. So I would say don't go above about 2.4, 2 over 4. This is a really nice ratio and quite soft as well. As I mentioned with this, you want to keep everything quite soft. You don't want to hear it working. You kind of want it to sound quite natural. So
it supports your gut-brain axis so you can feel calmer.
And it's the same with the attack and the release as well. So basically the attack is how fast the compression is kicking in, and the release is how fast it's kind of letting it go and go back to the normal volume. With these also, you don't want them too fast and too slow, because once again, you'll hear them working. So I'm just going to leave them around there where I first turned it on. I feel like that worked quite good.
Your gut and your brain are constantly talking to you.
But you kind of want the attack to be faster, feel something like a drum where it's like a quick snap. So that, the compression kicks in really quick. So I'm going to close that. I'm happy with that. And then the EQ. For the EQ, it's kind of hard to tell you how to EQ it, because it really depends on the microphone. It also depends on what you're recording, the person, their voice. But one thing I would say, what you should really do is kind of have a high pass filter and a bit of a low pass filter. So I'm basically lumping off the ends there. And basically, so any kind of really low sounds down there past that 70, it's quite a low rumble. You wouldn't really need that, especially if you're recording audio like just voice. And then same with the highs as well. You wouldn't really have that. There's a lot of just like airy kind of hissing sound up there. So kind of cut that off as well. You can even go as far as like 16 18,000, but I'm going to leave it around 17,000. And then the last thing I would do is add a limiter. But one thing we want to do before we add the limiter is basically change the order of how it's being processed. So I'm going to go EQ, dynamics, and then the effects, and then the limiter. And basically this is so, the EQ is kind of nice rounded off, and then it goes through a bit of compression to make sure it's at a nice volume. Everything's kind of a bit of a, like a sausage, like everything's a nice volume, not too crazy spikes. And then it goes to the limiter, and the limiter should be at the end, because basically you can set a ceiling. So the ceiling, I'm going to go down to about minus 0.2, and it means that nothing is going to go beyond this limit. So if I hit play now, just going to take that volume. And also on the input, I'm going to put soft, I'm going to highlight soft, so it's just a bit smoother. And then I'm going to take the level up.
Lion's mane, reishi, and ashwagandha, which helps support that connection. So you're not just supporting your digestion, you're supporting how you feel every day. One scoop, one morning ritual.
And what I want to do here is I want to get it up to a really good, nice level. So that is sitting, around 0 basically. And because on social media, you want things to be relatively loud so that they jump and they stand out when someone is scrolling past your content. So we don't want it too quiet. If you're recording maybe a podcast or so, you want it to not stand out so much. It should sit a bit lower than that. But I would say for social media content, you can get it up to a nice level. So you want it to stop people scrolling.
Why you should start your day with one scoop of Gutted Mindful Gut. 1. It feeds your gut the good stuff. Your gut is home.
And then as you can see there, the reduction is where it's hitting that ceiling, and then the limiter is pushing it back down. So it won't go past that point, okay? So this is really important because, as I said, you don't want basically the audio clipping. So clipping is when it's going to go past 0 and you get distortion. If someone's listening to that on this, on their phone or something, they're going to hear it. So you kind of want...
And the good ones need feeding. Gutted has prebiotics like inulin and flippin.
And that is why we put it at the end as well, because it's making sure that nothing goes past that point. So that is basically what it would look like. You've got a bit of background noise reduction on there. You've got then it's going to go through the EQ, and then it's going to go through a bit of compression, and then it's going to have a bit of limiting at the end. And it's as simple as that, basically. You don't need much more, I believe. There is, some audio guys out there that might really think you need a lot more. And fair enough, everyone's got their own way of doing things, but I think you just want to keep it really simple. So yeah, that's it, guys. So please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.